I'm thinking about signing up for a race. Have you? Welcome to Dangerous Runner. I'm Ralph. I enjoy running, and I'm guessing you do too. So if you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, please consider doing so and click that subscribe icon down in the corner of this video. Thank you. So I enjoy races. I think they give your training some purpose, gives you something to shoot for, gives you something to work for, and having a goal out there of doing maybe a 5K, 10K, or even a marathon out there in the future really brings excitement to the everyday training. So I'm looking at maybe signing up for another race in about 2 months. I have several to choose from, but I thought I would talk to you today about different races, different lengths, some of the considerations for each, and encourage you maybe to sign up for one. Pick one out there that you think you're capable of, it's far enough away you can train for, and just have fun. So it's raining. Well, my GoPro is waterproof. It's hard to keep the raindrops off the lens, so we'll just finish this discussion inside. Hey, welcome back to my dry studio. I thought I would talk about races in 3 groups. The first group is what I call the starter pack. These are races that really make good distances for a first-time race. If you've never run a race before, look at one in the starter pack group, and that's typically races that are 10K or lower. The most common race, of course, is a 5K. 5K races abound, and 5K races can be a lot of fun for several reasons. One is they're usually well attended, so you're going to have a lot of people there, which kind of gives a festivity to the event. And often they're associated with a larger theme, for example, a holiday theme. I've done a couple of turkey trots that are 5Ks. Sometimes they're with a fair or a festival of some sort. Sometimes they're for charity. I once did a 5K for charity that had a superhero theme. They asked people to wear superhero costumes they wanted. I actually wore some kind of a Captain America running shirt that I wore. Makes it a lot of fun. The other nice thing about a 5K is that all types of people participate in them. In other words, you will have runners that will run very fast. They'll finish it in less than 20 minutes. You have other people that will walk. I've seen ladies pushing strollers with their babies in it doing 5K. So you should feel very comfortable in running at your speed in a 5K. So for a 5K is a very good first-time race. Another race that's a possibility for first-timer is a 5 mile, which is also an 8K. Those are kind of hard to find. They're usually not too many of those, but if you come across one, again, it's a great first-time race. A more popular race, or I should say a more easily found race, would be a 10K. 10K is 6 miles, 6.2 miles, so it's a little longer distance than the 5K, but it doesn't take an excessive amount of training. I think a 10K is a good first-time race if you have aspirations for running longer races, be it a half marathon or a marathon. Another nice thing about a 10K is it's a good beginning trail race. A lot of trail races, the shortest race you'll find is a 10K. The first trail race I ever ran was a 10K, and I remember very well because it had snowed the night before, and it was like 10 or 12 degrees Fahrenheit the morning of the race, but it was sunny, so that made it kind of pretty. So 10K is a good race for a stepping stone to other races. So think of the starter pack, 10K or less, as a good races to do for a first time. Now, the next group of races are the marathons. That's the half marathon and the full marathon. You know, the half marathon is my favorite race for a couple of reasons. One is it's 13 miles. That still is a significant distance to run. So when you finish the race, you feel like you've accomplished something. Half marathons are also pretty popular, so they're well attended. So it's kind of also a festive spirit. Maybe not like a 5K, but still a lot of fun. You get a lot of people there, they're excited, so it makes it kind of fun to do. And also training for a half marathon is not as bad as training for a marathon. Doing the half, if you're already a runner and you're doing 3 to 5 miles already, you can maybe train for a half in 2 to 3 months kind of a thing. So it's not an excessively committed training program. The other nice thing about a half marathon is it only takes a half a day to do it. You may start at 8 in the morning and you're done before lunch. And so you've got the rest of the day to do whatever you want to do. So that makes half marathons pretty popular also. And like the 5K, you'll see people doing half marathons very fast and some doing them very slow, if not walking most of it. So if you want to do a long race, a good long race to target is a half marathon, but do one of those starter packs first. Now, the next race in the marathon group, of course, is the full marathon. That is a beast. That is 26 miles. That's a long distance. If you want to do a marathon, you need to be committed. I mean, that's a 4 to 6 month training program, depending on where you're at in your running evolution. So you've got to be committed to doing that. I would suggest if you want to do a marathon or half marathon, get a training program. And I will put some links down in the description for a couple of sources for good training programs. I would suggest get one of those or something different and follow that training program to prepare yourself for one of those races. So one reason to consider a marathon is to put yourself in an elite group. not too many people have actually run and completed a marathon. I tried to do some research to figure out how many people have done it, and from what I could find, somewhere between 1/4 to 1/2 of 1% of the population have ever completed a full marathon. So if you can do it, congratulations, you are part of an elite group, and you ought to feel very good about that. So by all means, train for and consider doing a full marathon. So before tackling a marathon, I would give serious consideration to doing a 10K and or a half marathon first. Now the final group of races I want to talk about are the ultra marathons. Any race longer than a marathon is considered an ultra. And some of the common races you'll find there are 50K and 100K, 50 mile and 100 mile. If a marathon's a beast, ultra marathons are super beasts. I'm kind of the mindset that if you can do a marathon, I think you can do a 50K. At least I think I can. 50K is 31 miles. So that's only 5 miles more than a marathon. I tried to do a 50K about a month ago. I didn't make it because it was only 3 weeks after I'd done a trail marathon and it wasn't enough recovery time. But running a 50K is still on my list of things to accomplish. Hopefully I can do that in the next year if the stars line and I find the correct race. If you want to attack an ultra marathon, you should have some running experience. You should have run a marathon, if not a couple of marathons or half marathons, get some of that distance experience under your belt. So what are some considerations in choosing a race? I think there are 3. The first one is training time. How much training time are you willing to invest? Training for a 5K is not a lot. If you're already a runner, you're probably already able to run a 5K. If you're not a runner, you can probably train and do it in a month or less. But training for a marathon, as I said earlier, is a big commitment. That's like a 4 to 6 month commitment. And training for an ultra, wow. Okay, so you gotta be able to commit and invest the training time to do it. Now on the flip side of time is recovery time. Recovering from a 5K is a couple of days. Recovering from a marathon, maybe 4 to 6 weeks, depending on your age and your experience. So you want to make sure you understand there's recovery time also. So it's not like you're going to run a marathon and then maybe run another marathon in a couple of weeks. You may have to push that out 4 to 8 weeks before you run another race. So the second consideration is money, dinero. How much are you willing to spend? Races aren't free. Well, very few races are free. They're going to cost you something. And of course, you would expect the longer the race, the more it's going to cost. You might spend 20 to 25 bucks registering for a 5K to spend $100 to $150 running and registering for a marathon. A nice thing about the longer races, they usually have a graduated pay scale, meaning the earlier you sign up, the less you pay. I was looking at a marathon the other day. Had I signed up 8 months ago, it would have cost me $75. If I sign up today, it's more like $120 to $125. So, but you got to plan ahead. You got to decide, am I going to commit and run a race 6 months from now and shell out some money right now? So there is a money cost. And of course, there may be a travel cost depending on where the race is. Actually, my first half marathon I ever ran was the Las Vegas Rock and Roll Half Marathon. It was also a marathon. I only did the half. I had to fly to Las Vegas to do it. It was a lot of fun, but sometimes you have other ancillary costs that may go into that. But certainly you've got the cost and registration fee you'll need to spend. How much are you willing to pay? So another tip on price is look for races sponsored by or put on by local running clubs. Those are usually very affordable. They're often half the price of a normal race. The clubs aren't trying to get rich. They're just trying to cover their costs. So usually it's not a really high charge to run, for example, a half marathon or a marathon. So look for local running club races. Now the third consideration is maybe one you haven't thought of, and that is cutoff time. Longer races especially have a cutoff time, meaning they only give you so much time to run the race. They don't give you forever. I was looking at 2 different marathons recently, and one had a 6-hour cutoff, the other one had a 7-hour cutoff. 6 hours is a lot tougher to do than a 7-hour race. Now one nice thing about why I like, again, half marathons is they're often run in parallel with a marathon. So if you're doing a half marathon, you have as much time to run it as a marathon people have to do a marathon. So it usually gives you plenty of time. Like I said, another great reason for a half marathon. So when you pick a race, especially a longer race, say 10K or over, make sure you understand the time constraint, because if you can't make it within that time, they will consider you a DNF, did not finish. Now, one question you may ask yourself, well, where can I find a race? What's a good source of information to find races? Well, there may be publicity in your local newspaper and local radio, but one source I use is a website called runningintheusa.com. I'll put a link below down in the description. You can actually search by geographic area, you can search by dates, you can search by distances. It's a really good resource for finding races. So check out runningintheusa.com. So as I said earlier in my video, races are a lot of fun. Training for them is a lot of fun. They give your training a purpose. Pick a race, especially this is mid-August as I film this. We're getting into the fall season. There'll be more races, at least in the northern hemisphere, to be cooler. So that really makes it amenable to go out and running some races and long races. I'm trying to target some kind of a race to do maybe in the October time frame, about 2 months out, either a marathon or maybe I can find a 50K to try. But pick a race, train for it, and have fun. Hey, thanks again for watching my video. I really appreciate it. If you've not yet subscribed to my channel and you're a runner and enjoy running like I do, please consider subscribing and hit that subscribe icon down in the corner of this video. Thank you so much.